Hi and welcome back to the cottage, everyone. I'm not sure what the weather's like where you live, but here in Minnesota we're in the middle of winter and it has been cold. And that means around here we've been spending quite a bit of the last couple of months stuck indoors. But the good news is we've been able to enjoy snuggling up to a feature in our home that I haven't shared a lot here on this channel, and that is our fireplace. So today I'm going to talk about how we added this feature to our home DIY style. So while we were designing the cottage, one of the main things that I wanted to be sure that we added was a fireplace. It's something I've always wanted in a home. I just see them as so quaint and cozy, and we had never had one before, and I just really wanted to make sure we got one here. I was probably a little bit naive about all the decisions that needed to be made when it came to deciding what fireplace to have, and to be honest, I got a little bit overwhelmed and I kept pushing off the ideas down the road until finally I had to make some decisions. And one of the first decisions that had to be made was what type of fireplace insert we were going to have. We had already kind of eliminated the idea of an actual wood burning fireplace for a lot of different reasons, but essentially we were kind of left with either choosing a gas fireplace or an electric fireplace. The decision came down to partly budget constraints and also partly we have a small area that we were trying to heat, and the gas fireplaces were just really letting off too much heat for what we needed, and so we thought that going with an electric fireplace was going to be our best bet. So we chose the Dimplex Revolution fireplace, and it is an electric insert that does give off quite a bit of good heat. One of the biggest selling points for this particular model is that it has a more realistic look for the flames and the logs. And being an electric fireplace, none of them look fully real, I'll give you that, but it does have a pretty genuine look to it. And it also does provide us with heat, so we like that part. We also like that it can be open, we don't have to have any panels in front of it, and literally you can go up and touch right on the logs and nothing will happen. So the heat comes out of a vent near the top and it does blow out a good amount of heat, but it does not burn you. So it's very safe for our kids. We do have gas hookups to this house because our furnace and our stove both run on gas, and so the meter or the hookup for it is actually really close to this fireplace. So if we decide in the future to switch to a gas insert, it would not be that complicated to do so. Once the fireplace insert was chosen, then I had to make some decisions on framing, and we were trying to decide what we wanted in terms of the look that would fit best with the scale of the room and the size of the space. Trying to decide what the hearth should look like, if it would be all the way to the floor, if it would be up a little bit, where the mantle should go, what the mantle should look like, and so there's a lot of decisions regarding that as well. And much to my contractor's amusement, I actually took some cardboard boxes and kind of stacked them up to try to visualize what the setup could look like, and that helped me to actually see what I wanted here in this space. We went with a hearth that was high enough for a person to sit on, and then our mantle was raised about at eye level so that a person sitting wouldn't hit their head on the mantle, but it also allowed that anything above the mantle could be seen if I were to put a piece of artwork up there, for example. So it's a really good balance. We think it fits our space really well. We did know that we wanted to have a chunky wood mantle, and we actually had somebody come and harvest the logs that were taken down from trees that were removed from our property so that we could make way for the house. He took those logs back to his workshop and milled them into boards and some other things, and one of them we asked him to make into this mantle, and it is very heavy. Our contractor was able to install it as part of the framing of the overall fireplace, and it's all anchored back into the wall, so it's very sturdy now. And it just really does complete the look. I love that it has all these beautiful saw marks on it, and it's just a really special piece knowing that that once was a tree that was basically standing right in this spot where the house is now. After the framing was complete, all of the finished work of the fireplace was left on Craig and I's shoulders, and unfortunately we also were in a bit of a time crunch because we were closing our loan in just a few weeks and we had a lot of things to wrap up. So Craig quickly installed shiplap on the upper portion of the fireplace, which he did a great job on. It was his first time ever installing it. He made some really sharp, nice beveled corners that he is very proud of. And for the brick portion on the lower part of the fireplace, we ended up going with a versatile tumbled thin brick, and this is the exact product that we use. As you can see, it's a little thicker, it's a little heavier than a wall tile, but it actually goes on in a very similar process. And so there is a thin set that you put on the framing directly, and then you put the brick on, and eventually you have to go back and fill the cracks all in with grout. The nice thing about this system is that there is even corner pieces, and so that really helped with making sure everything was lined up properly. And we did all this work over the course of just a couple days, I believe. We were really in, like I said, really in a time crunch, so we got it done quickly. And going back then and filling in the grout in between, that part ended up being a little bit more complicated than I was expecting. We started trying by putting it with like a little bag, like a squeeze bag that you could squeeze the grout in. Ultimately, we decided that it was just taking way too long, and so I would essentially just kind of like squeeze it in there with my fingers. And the nice thing about this, it actually kind of gave the bricks a little bit more of a rustic look, because some of the grout kind of splashed over the edge and it kind of gave it more of a historic rustic look. We did know all along that we were going to be painting this brick, and so we weren't really concerned about making everything look perfect. And so we kind of had this red and brown field of tile bricks, and then we went back later and painted it all white. We used the same brick on the fireplace hearth and just kind of oriented them a different way. And this kind of just adds, again, a little bit of character to the space. And then we skirted the front with a very thin plywood. Everything was painted white to match, and it just kind of brought everything all together. Now that the fireplace is finished, it definitely is one of my favorite features in the entire cottage, just as I knew that it would be. It gives off great heat to help us beat the chill of these cold Minnesota days and winters, but also we can have the flame setting going on the fireplace and without the heat input and still enjoy the ambiance and coziness that that can bring. And the mantle has also become one of my favorite places to decorate. I love trying large pieces like large paintings there, and also trying out some smaller things like vases with flowers or candlesticks, different things. I've got lots of ideas that I want to try out, and so it's just kind of a fun place to decorate. If you like the look of our fireplace, or if you have any questions about it, go ahead and give me a comment down below and we can chat about it there. I will be adding links to the products that I talked about in this video, such as the fireplace insert and also the thin brick. So that'll be in the description box for you to reference if you are doing a little DIY of your own. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you'll stop by the cottage again really soon.